Karen's sneer could curdle milk, and her lawsuit was as fake as her crocodile tears. The neighborhood trembled under her reign, but I was the one who turned her lies into handcuffs. It all started with a mailbox. My mailbox, to be precise, simple, slate gray, and perfectly regulation compliant. But Karen, the self-appointed queen of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, decided it was an eyesore. "It's 2 inches too tall," she screeched at the last HOA meeting, her jowls quivering with righteous indignation. The room fell silent, neighbors avoiding her gaze like she was a rabid dog. I, however, wasn't about to let her steamroll me over a mailbox she'd never even measured. Karen wasn't just any HOA tyrant. She was a walking caricature of entitlement, waddling through the cul-de-sacs in her garish floral dresses, her voice a foghorn of complaints. She'd fine you for a blade of grass out of place, then lecture you on community standards, while her own lawn looked like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Everyone hated her, but nobody dared cross her. Except me. The trouble began when I refused to replace my mailbox. Karen slapped me with a $500 fine, which I ignored. Then came the letters daily, typed in Comic Sans, demanding compliance. I tossed them in the recycling bin, figuring she'd tire herself out. But Karen didn't tire. She escalated. One humid July morning, I found a process server at my door, handing me a lawsuit claiming my non-compliant mailbox had caused her emotional distress and property value damage to the tune of $10,000. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my coffee. Emotional distress? From a mailbox? This was Karen's magnum opus of absurdity. I wasn't laughing for long. The lawsuit was real, and Karen had a Layera greasy, small-time attorney named Mitch who looked like he'd been dredged from the bottom of a discount suit bin. The complaint was a masterclass in fiction. It claimed my mailbox was a public nuisance, that I'd harassed Karen by refusing to comply, and that her severe anxiety required medical attention. It was so over the top I half expected her to claim my mailbox was plotting against her. But the audacity of it burned. She wasn't just bullying Mesh was trying to ruin me. I'm no lawyer, but I'm not an idiot either. I hired Sarah, a sharp attorney with a reputation for shredding frivolous lawsuits. Sarah took one look at Karen's complaint and smirked. "This is a house of cards," she said. "Let's knock it down." We got to work, digging into Karen's history. It wasn't hard to find dirt. Neighbors came forward with stories. Karen had fined Mrs. Jenkins for her rosebushes being too red, threatened to tow Mr. Patel's car for parking too close to her driveway, and once tried to ban kids from riding bikes because they disrupted her peace. She was a one-woman wrecking ball, and her lawsuit against me was just the latest in her reign of terror. The courtroom was a circus. Karen waddled in, her oversized sunglasses perched on her nose like a vulture's beak, her lawyer Mitch trailing behind with a briefcase that looked older than the Constitution. I sat with Sarah, my stomach churning but my resolve ironclad. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with steel gray hair, peered over her glasses at Karen's complaint like it was a bad novel. "Ms. Thompson," she said, addressing Karen, "you're claiming a mailbox caused you $10,000 in damages?" Karen puffed up, her voice dripping with self-righteousness. "That mailbox is a blight on our community. It's lowered my property value and given me panic attacks." She clutched her chest for dramatic effect, but the judge wasn't buying it. Neither was I. Sarah presented our evidence. Photos of my mailbox, perfectly within HOA guidelines, measurements proving it was regulation height, and a stack of complaints from neighbors about Karen's own violations: her unkempt lawn, her illegal fence, her dog barking at all hours. The courtroom murmured. Karen's face turned the color of her fuchsia dress. Then came the bombshell. Sarah had subpoenaed Karen's medical records, which showed no evidence of anxiety treatment or any doctor visits tied to her supposed distress. Karen squirmed in her seat, her lawyer whispering frantically. Sarah pressed harder, presenting emails Karen had sent to the HOA board, bragging about teaching me a lesson with her lawsuit. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Thompson," she said, her voice like a blade, "are you aware that filing a false lawsuit under oath is perjury?" Karen's bravado crumbled. She stammered, sweat beading on her forehead. Two didn't mean it's not false. But the evidence was a tidal wave. Sarah produced a witness, old Mr. Grayson, who testified that Karen had admitted to him she'd made it all up to put me in my place. The courtroom gasped. Karen's lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. The judge dismissed the lawsuit with prejudice, slamming her gavel so hard it echoed like a gunshot. But we weren't done. Sarah filed a motion for sanctions, arguing that Karen's lies wasted the court's time and my resources. The judge agreed, ordering Karen to pay my legal fees $8,000. Then came the real kicker. The judge referred Karen's case to the district attorney for perjury charges. As the bailiff escorted her out, Karen's wails filled the courthouse, a mix of fury and desperation. "This is unfair," she screamed, her sunglasses slipping off her nose. "I'm the victim here." The neighborhood buzzed for weeks. Karen's reign of terror was over. The DA charged her with perjury, a felony that carried up to 7 years in prison. She pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, but the consequences were brutal: a year of probation, community service, and a permanent ban from the HOA board. Her house, once the epicenter of her tyranny, went up for sale. Nobody was sad to see her go. I stood by my mailbox the day she moved out, watching the moving truck rumble down the street. Mrs. Jenkins, freed from Karen's rosebush tyranny, brought me a plate of cookies. Mr. Patel waved from his driveway, his car parked exactly where he wanted it. The neighborhood felt lighter, like it could breathe again. My mailbox, still standing proud, wasn't just a mailbox, Anna Maria. It was a symbol of standing up to a bully and winning. Karen's downfall wasn't just about a lawsuit. It was about accountability. She'd spent years wielding her power like a sledgehammer, crushing anyone who dared defy her. But lies have a way of catching up, and hers ran headfirst into the truth. I didn't just win a case, I helped free a community from a tyrant. And as Karen's taillights disappeared around the corner, I knew we'd all sleep better without her shadow looming over us. The end.